Hey guys, welcome to a very special edition of The Excellent Way. We've taken a little bit of a break, but we're coming back into this with a really cool conversation. This group in front of you is our 2021 scholarship recipients, and so we're at the end of their year, and we get to talk about all of the things that they came up against during their scholarship, the things that they learned, the hiccups along the way, which there were several, but we worked through it, and we have some really great stories to tell. And so the goal of today is for you guys to hear their perspective of how this went, and how a decision like this can alter your life, not just physically, mentally, professionally. Like, a lot of things changed for all four of you guys, and it was pretty cool. So that is where we're headed today, and Marco's going to introduce everybody.
Yeah, well, they're going to introduce themselves, but introduce yourself with your name and something that kind of like just describes who you are that maybe someone will connect with.
Am I starting?
Yeah.
My name is Alli, and I am a mom to two boys. I think that's it.
Okay. Hey. There you go.
I'm Chad, and I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I enjoy the outdoors and climbing and stuff like that.
Cool.
I'm Amanda. I have 4 kids, and I love cardigans that remind me of grandmas and Harry Potter.
I love it.
I'm Raquel. I am a single mother of a teenage boy, and I learned through CrossFit that I'm super low-key competitive.
Low-key?
Low-key.
Oh, so just interesting thing. So all of you guys have sons, and I know you have
2 daughters.
2 daughters. So you have
Yeah.
2 sons, 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. So So the first thing we get to do is kind of start the conversation all the way back in the beginning, because this is a process, right? And so for those that don't know, our scholarship program is its own process, and you guys will learn a little bit more about that kind of at the end of this. But going back to the beginning, what was happening in life, and you guys can kind of just popcorn this in whatever order. Like, if you jump in, just jump in. What was happening in life that made you go, you know what, I'm going to apply for that? Who wants to go first?
I'll start.
Raquel's like, I'm in.
Yeah. So I had joined the gym a few months prior to the actual scholarship, but the next year I knew that I was going to be purchasing a home, and so financially I wasn't going to be able to afford it anymore. With some encouragement from a few members, I applied for it because it was something that I love to do, CrossFit. I really, really appreciated this gym specifically, and so I didn't want to give up that journey. I wasn't ready to stop just because I couldn't financially afford it.
Yeah. Who's that? Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
We had just moved back here from Texas, and COVID had just hit, and I felt stuck. And I used to be very competitive and played a lot of sports, and so I saw it pop up. And honestly, when I saw it, I thought that it was like a scam just to get email addresses. Because someone shared it in a local moms group, and so I applied, and I thought I would never hear anything, and then I did, and I'm super glad that I applied.
Yeah, awesome. I wonder how many. That's the first time I've ever heard that. I wonder if people think that this is a scam.
I saw it, but I thought, well, whatever. I put my email in. If I have to block something, I'll block something.
Yeah.
I would say that for me, so my wife and I, we've been coming to the gym for about, 3, maybe 4 years prior. And she actually started out as a scholarship person as well. Once again, the whole scammer kind of thing. Everybody thinks that. And so, when she applied for it, she did it a whole year, and I also kind of tagged along, and it was just kind of in and out for me. And then after that year, it was like, we were coming here, and we just loved the community of it, and just the overall vibe of the gym itself. And we were coming into the new year, it was like, all right, kind of on the financial side of things, one of us either needs to drop out or something needs to be changed or something like that. And so due to the fact that not that I know of, if any guys have ever applied for the position, for the scholarship, I decided, actually my wife told me, why don't you just go ahead and apply for it? The worst thing to say is no, because you've been going for so long. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, well, just go ahead and apply for it and see what happens. And you guys kind of chose me, and which was great. And it helped us financially, but it also helped me more than anything, because it turned me from going to the gym, just occasionally, and whenever I felt like it, to, okay, I need to go to the gym because I need to fulfill my side of things. So.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I felt the same way, Alli, because there was another one that I had applied for, I think like 4 months previous, and went in there, I was so excited, but they're like, so you pay like $500 and you could win this back if you lose this amount of weight.
Yeah.
You have to like buy our products and stuff. But my friend Felicia goes here, so I'm like, oh, well, she wouldn't keep encouraging me to apply for something that she knew was never gonna work for me. And of course, like everyone, financial, and then COVID had just hit, and it was kind of like mentally dark for basically everyone. Stuck in the house, couldn't send my kids anywhere because no one wanted to be exposed or any of that. And I just needed something just for myself that I could go do without my kids and be guilt-free. So, I'm so excited.
I think that's a big conversation, not just amongst this group, but I think amongst a lot of, really specifically the moms in the gym. I need something for me, because it's this, you feel a little selfish about it, but it's no, you kind of have to, you have to have that so that, you can have a mental break from your kids.
Exactly.
You just kind of need that sometimes. And Chad brings up a really cool point too, is for us, we have had men apply in the past. This year was the first year we chose a guy to fill in the scholarship. And that's one of the road bumps that I do want to point out, is that we started this year with 6 scholarships. One had to drop out early because of health things that just wasn't lining up with what that person was dealing with, and the other, a couple of months in, just you know what, I am not ready for this, and so that was, that person was another guy that we had offered the scholarship to, and it was I think, although he didn't finish out the scholarship, I think it was a big wake-up call for him, which is what this is supposed to be, right? I mean, we want to, as a gym, physically help people change their lives, but it's also hey, there's emotional things that are going to change. There's spiritual things that are going to change. There are professional things that are going to change. I know your profession changed
a lot,
big time, Alli.
More than ever in my life.
Yeah, and then you kind of moved forward in your career as well. And then I know Chad, you picked up a ton of responsibility at your gig too, and then yours changed in a really different way. So I mean, it was just a lot. All of that happens, and you take this perspective of, hey, we're just going to go to the gym, and that's what you're probably thinking when you do something like this, and then it becomes so much more than that. Even for us, walking with you guys through that, we walk away from this and it's there's an emotional involvement in this, for all of us, and so it's cool to kind of hear that piece of it where you guys started, and looking back on that, oh wow, yeah, I remember that. So.
And that's important to point out, is that why there's an emotional involvement for us is you guys don't just come to the gym. There's check-ins that you do, anything that's happening, like we're on you, or you're coming to us and talking to us about it. And so like there definitely relationships start to grow within our scholarship people, and
Yeah.
that
So
is a lot of fun.
can I flip these next two questions?
Yeah.
Because so kind of going off of that and some of the skepticism of applying, once you guys did get selected and started going, what were some of your fears coming through that?
I think mine would be to fail, like taking someone's scholarship spot and then giving up and being like, oh, well, this isn't for me, bye.
Yeah.
So, and being vulnerable, like not being fit and going into a CrossFit gym, which CrossFit is super intimidating for anybody. I went here, I was like, I'm gonna be like the least fittest around all these freaking people with have their clothes off, and muscles out, you know, so total stereotypical, but
Totally
that
not what
definitely-
you came into.
no.
Yeah, I had that same fear of this is like such a big and great opportunity, and I just didn't want to fail myself, but I also didn't want to fail you guys because I know what goes into this. So that was like,
Yeah.
I think it was the same for me. I didn't want to fail, and I was afraid I'd walk in and people would think like, "What is she doing here? She does not belong here." So.
and you kill it every time. Like, I'm like,
Instead, Allie's like the best like weightlifter in the gym.
I think for me it was more of failing myself and my family, because we like to do outdoor stuff, and to do outdoor stuff you have to be somewhat fit, or if not, real slim and lanky, because if you're climbing, you're going to want that reach, you're going to want to be able to squat down and do certain things that not a lot of people can do. And I think what really pushed me into it is 2 years ago we went climbing, and we went to the easiest climb I could possibly find, and it was literally like climbing a ladder. But the first part of it was kind of a tough move to get up to the first bolt, and it was like I was probably 270 at that point, and I was used to climbing it, but when I got there, it was just like the hardest, like 10 feet that I could possibly do. And that's where it really hit me. I was like, okay, I really got to get into shape, because if we're going to do any more of this kind of stuff, like either hiking or biking or anything like that, I myself need to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
So that was probably a big push on me.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think that goes into the next one, and that was part of your goals. So if you guys can kind of remember what some of your goals were, and they change throughout the year. Like we go over them every time we check in, and so some people's changed. But I know for Chad, climbing harder terrain. I don't really know the technical term. What is one of your goals?
Yeah, so I would say, this last year, especially after doing, let's see. So when we first started off at the beginning of the year, I was more focused on trying to lose some weight, trying to gain some more muscle, and which I did, utilizing 75 hard, and doing 2 workouts a day, and doing it because I have to do it and not give up on it. And even on the harder, like 3-foot snow day, it was like, oh yeah, I'm still gonna get out there, still gotta go do it. Everybody else is going, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm enjoying this actually. But this last summer we went climbing over by 11 Mile Reservoir, and there's an area over there that just has a bunch of real large domes that you can climb up. And we were climbing, started on a 5-6, fairly simple climb, and then after that I was like, all right, let's try to jump up and see how high we can go. And we did a 5-7, and then jumped up to a 5-9, and the 5-9 was a little bit trickier, but it was also a climb I was somewhat comfortable with. And it felt great. It was like, because a big part of climbing is you got to set the anchor on the top, and to set the anchor at the top, somebody has to climb up to the top and set it. And so I'm usually the guy that climbs up to the top without a rope or the safety of an anchor to set it up. So it was really good. It was awesome. We were able to do some climbing, find some other new spots that I was able to get comfortable with, and just having a lot of fun that week. So
That's cool.
I know another one of your goals that you're really knocking out was you wanted to read.
Yeah, read.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That's not a fitness or nutrition
It's
goal.
not a fitness or nutrition goal, but it was a 75 hard goal as well. And so I ended up, during 75 hard, ended up reading 7 books within the 75 days. And still reading some more books as well. And so my big goal was to try to get 12 by the end of the year, so 1 a month or something like that. So really close to finishing that one.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, dude.
It's like my least favorite on the 75 hard list.
It's like, it's only 10 pages, but I have to do it.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, you emphasize, or I want to emphasize how it's not just about fitness goals, and we talked about this. A lot of my goals almost like didn't even have to do with fitness. It was just like life and getting to, you know, reach different things. And I made some, like I was able to reach some of my goals, and some of them are still work in progress, like it, but we're still working at them. And, you know, I just want everybody to know it's not always about fitness, and especially with this community, it's not, you know, it's more about life in general.
Yeah. Well, I think off of that, it's the conversation, like, and I try to get people to understand this, is like your goals outside of the gym are supported by what you do in the gym. Like, the gym is physical, and physical, well, it's not always easy. It's simple, right? It's control your food and move your body. And if you can build a habit of that, you can kind of build some confidence of, especially with CrossFit, to your point, Amanda, is like, it's intimidating. And you come in and you do some of these workouts, and you leave a little obliterated, right? But then it's like later that week, you're like, dude, if I can do that stupid workout, I can deal with this or whatever that is, right? And so it's like it serves this purpose of, yes, it's making your body healthier, but it's also this confidence piece of like, if I can handle that, I can handle this, you know? And sometimes you realize it and sometimes you don't. Like, sometimes you have those moments like Murph, right? Like, oh my gosh, such a huge workout, and you finish that workout, and it's just that moment of, I can't believe I just did that. And there are workouts like that in CrossFit that they feed into everything else, and it's just that confidence booster. You may not actually physically say that, but your brain knows it. It's like, well, if I can deal with that, I can deal with this. This is fine. So it's a good point, right? The goals in a gym will always be physical, but they're there. Those physical things will support the external stuff, right? The out of the gym stuff, right?
When I started here, I just finished my master's, and one of my goals was to get a job that I was utilizing that degree. And I think my being here boosted my confidence enough that I was willing to apply for jobs that I probably wouldn't have in the past. So
Yeah.
My goals at the beginning were definitely weight loss, obviously, like everybody. But then it changed. I feel like every month it was like, I'm going to make it to the gym this many times, or I'm just going to like let my self-esteem grow and celebrate small wins, which is so hard for people because like you get in here and you're like, I want to be fit, I want to lose weight, I want it to happen in 30 days. And it doesn't. You know?
We're not the biggest loser.
No, but that's like stuff like that is so misconstrued about fitness and health and all that stuff. And I learned to like love my body and way around like during the journey and what foods to eat and what not to do and how to stay active, even though I was nursing several injuries. Like just show up.
Yeah.
That was another goal, just show up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, and sometimes the just show up part leads into some of the coolest stuff that ends up happening.
Yeah.
You know, like the days you're like, I don't want to go, and then you end up showing up and you end up doing something you never in a million years thought you would do. You know, and it's like, to Alli's point, it's that confidence of like, because I did that, okay, like I can take this other chance, or I can chase this other dream or this other goal. You know, so that's a big part of that, is just show up. Yeah, for sure.
And I will say, piggybacking off the little wins, like we celebrate the little wins when we're here in the gym, but it's also the little losses that's what makes a big difference for me, at least.
Yeah.
Because the little losses, we don't see them coming. And I know throughout the year, it was like, I had this huge up, and then it kind of plateaued, and during that plateau, I had these little losses that came in and started feeding into my head, hey, you don't need to go to the gym. Hey, it's totally fine. You can go ahead and have some pizza. Those little losses. And so I felt like, throughout the year, it was like kind of a battle, and recognizing, which side of me is winning, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, this conversation is a great kind of lead into that next conversation, which is what were the roadblocks that we all hit, and it last year it was. Well, we got shut down because of COVID.
We all hit the same roadblock.
We hit the same roadblock
at the same time.
This year it was a whole smorgasbord of different things that happened to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
And I kind of want to point out, I think when we first offer the scholarship or have our first meeting, we always say that you're gonna have a roadblock, and so that's part of what the scholarship is for, is because life's never gonna go as planned. It's never gonna I'm just gonna make it to the gym 4 times every week, and I'm gonna eat great, and everything's gonna go well, and I'm never gonna get hurt, and I'm never gonna. Not that any of the injuries, I don't think any of them happened here, actually. Just happened in life. A roadblock's gonna happen, and so then that's what this is for, is to help teach people how to get past those. So, what were your roadblocks?
and actually, I wanna pick on two of you
Yeah,
because they were massive.
yeah.
They were really massive. So, can I start with you, Amanda?
Sure.
Yeah. So, it was March.
Yeah.
Was when that happened?
I think so.
Yeah, so it was during the big, huge snowstorm we had kind of right at the end of March. Was it mid-March?
So this is
March?
at the beginning of the scholarship.
Yeah, so we're 3 months in,
Yeah.
and Amanda is doing snow removal, and your back spazzes out,
Yes.
and you were down for a couple of days, yeah?
Yes. And then it just kind of went up and down, and no one would take me seriously. And I was so scared to come here because I thought that people were going to think that I was faking it or push me to do something I wasn't comfortable with. So that was a huge roadblock for me. But still showed up, and I got modifications and worked through it, which was still hard.
Yeah,
Watch everybody do everything. I couldn't do that.
You and Alex and the bike became real good friends.
That bike, man. But I mean, it was still fun, and
Not at the time.
not at the time.
But you finally got people to listen to you.
Yeah.
So what was going on with your back?
I had a slip disc, and it caused a foot drop, so I wasn't able to lift my right foot up, so I couldn't run, and I couldn't lift very heavy weights for the most part. But then it kind of got better there for a while after my injections, and then it was down, and then, that sucked. But it was so, like you said, days I didn't want to go, and I was in so much pain, and I still came, and we'd have so much fun, even though I was in pain. And it was I am so happy that I came today because I was in such a bad mood.
Yeah, well, it's that kind of what you guys were talking about earlier. It's that emotional break that you need.
Yes.
To just be around some other adults,
Yeah. That was another one of my struggles, is actually letting myself have an hour away from my kids.
Yeah.
Without feeling guilty or worrying what was going to happen for a whole 60 minutes if I wasn't there.
Or even when you brought them, they were fine.
And I still just got to be by myself in my own element for 60 minutes with the greatest people.
Yeah. And so you just had surgery to repair all of that.
Yes.
3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Ish?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you're already feeling way better?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, I
This is
am.
good. All right. And so piggybacking off of surgery, Alli, I want to kind of tell a little bit of your story next, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what started it that you were all right, I gotta go to the doc and get this checked?
I had a lump on my ankle for months, but it didn't bother me. And then it started causing numbness in my toes and like pain shooting up my legs. So I went and they looked at it, and it was a compressed nerve. It was compressing a nerve and causing like circulation issues.
Okay. And it was it a cyst? Was it a tumor?
It was a benign tumor.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Yay for being benign. Oh my God. Woo.
Yeah. And so they were going to take it out, and it was supposed to be like a week recovery, and I could be back to normal in a week, and that did not happen.
No. Because
I had a massive necrotic infection, and I was septic and in the hospital, and yeah.
yeah. So like a week, 2 weeks turned into 6?
More than that.
More than that.
I was in the hospital. I got admitted exactly a month after the first surgery, and I was there for a few days, and then it was another 6 weeks after that.
Yeah.
Before I could take the boot off.
Yep. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah, I was not mentally prepared. I was mentally prepared for a week.
Yeah. Not 3 months.
No. Yeah.
So like for both of you guys, like as you're dealing with that injury, I want to like just kind of talk about this. Like, not only does it hinder you physically, right? But like kind of talk about a little bit like emotionally what you go through. Like you're in the midst of this, like, man, I'm finally doing something for me, and it's changing me physically, and I feel really good. And then now, in an instant, you're like, oh crap, I can't go do that anymore.
Yeah.
At least for a little while. Like how did that play into everything else for you guys emotionally?
It was kind of up and down for me because, I prepared myself to take a week off, and once that week came to an end, I did start coming back, but I still couldn't put shoes on and couldn't do a lot of stuff, and so that was hard to. As the days kept going, it got harder and harder because I wasn't, I thought I'd be back to normal by now. And but then there was days too that I was glad I was that far along in this whole process because I had already had the tools and developed the habits to kind of stay on track. So.
Yeah.
I was pretty frustrated, like everyone here knows, like even when I would come in.
God, this is stupid.
It is, and it was so hard at work to not do certain things or ask for help. And it's hard even when you feel like crap and you're still moving your body. It was hard not to be irritated with still being cheered on because I felt like, I know you guys have said a million times, like you're your own competitor and all the people in the gym are so great, but it's so hard to come in and be doing like a PVC pipe when everyone else is doing something that I know that I'm capable of, but my body is just not cooperating with me. And it was really hard to keep showing up at that point. But I'm glad that it didn't happen like right away because at that point it was like, that they're not gonna make you do something that's gonna hurt you. And you're still gonna feel good after you leave type of thing. So that was, I struggled really hard with that, but.
Yeah. So that's, what I'm hearing out of that from both of you guys is, and it makes me happy because sometimes it was us as coaches, but a lot of times it wasn't. It was Alex, it was Tim, it was Ashley, like they're the ones that were like, they had taken on helping you guys feel safe in those moments. And so that's really cool that you guys felt like, even though you like were frustrated at the fact that you couldn't do what you wanted to do, like that you felt safe enough to be here anyway. Knowing that they weren't like, hey, just tell them what's going on and they're going to keep you safe. So that's really cool. That speaks to those guys as coaches. That's huge. So, what for you, Raquel? What was your big monster frustration?
I feel like there are a few looking back on my life. I had my big move, and that was really life altering for me because I don't do well with change. And I got into this really bad depression, and I struggled with depression, and I want to say for me, CrossFit was one of the main reasons when COVID first hit, or after you guys opened up, that I started again or started with this gym because it helped me with my depression. So when I moved and I got like stuck into this really bad depression, it was hard to make it. Knowing that Elm is like my favorite place to be, it was even hard to do that. Like it was hard. I had like an injury after that. I felt like things just kept.
The injury where she made the doctor write a note because she knew I wouldn't believe it.
My no squat injury was valid. But being able to overcome those things, those were the roadblocks. Life, it happens to everybody. Everybody had something different, and just being able to overcome all of those things. I know I'm not the only one that goes through depression. I know I'm not the only one who, has moved or has had things like this, but for me, those were like my biggest.
Yeah. And then Chad, for you, what was your hiccup moment?
So mine started right after I completed a huge goal.
Right, which was 75 hard.
Well, 75 hard was a huge goal.
Yeah.
Yes. But my even bigger goal was deadlifting over 400.
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
And
yes.
so it was, during 75 hard, I attempted deadlifting 400. Got to 395, and then I was like, all right, let's put 400 on there, and then could not pull it up. And so it was like, all right, so after Murph, I think, it was shortly after Murph, we had another attempt at doing the deadlift. And so it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of reps, and got to the last rep. I was like, I'm throwing 405 on there, I don't care, I'm just gonna pick it up. Picked it up, felt amazing. I was even like looking around to see if I was like up. Because you get that moment where you're like up in the air and you're like, am I up? I can't tell. I don't look down. And so that was a really amazing moment because I was like, oh sweet, oh my gosh, I hit 405 and it felt great. And then I would say, I think it was like right there at the end of summer, just before classes started and stuff, me, my wife, and our son, we all ended up getting COVID for a week. Oh. And that's what really I'd say that was probably the biggest roadblock that we had. Ended up getting sick. I was just dead tired. Like, my wife was like, I can't believe you sleep that much, basically. And I was like, I can't, it was just took me out. And then shortly after that, I had, what was it? I had something going on with my foot, and it was my left foot, and it was plantar fasciitis. So basically, if you don't know what it is, there's a muscle on the bottom of your foot that's being pulled by your Achilles, and then that muscle, if it gets tightened up, is getting pulled through your calf, which is also getting pulled through your hip, all the way up to your lower back. And because there was no resistance there, it was pulling on my foot constantly, so it made my foot feel like it was in a vice all the time. It took me out of work for a couple of days. It was to the point where I couldn't put a shoe on. And so that was probably that probably hurt me the worst, because it was like, COVID was whatever, but plantar fasciitis, it was just like, I couldn't walk. I couldn't really go anywhere without stumbling, or do any of the workouts. And it was just like, you're kind of getting to that place where there's really no point for me to go to the gym because I'm just going to be sitting there. Yeah. And I did come a couple of times, and I did try working through and try stretching. And even if it was like, instead of doing the workout, it was just more of me doing some of the exercises or stretches that you two put me in through. And it was hell on earth, but
yeah. Sometimes mobility is so much worse than the workouts.
Yeah. But it most definitely helped me loosen up that leg and try to get me in the right place. Just kind of like with your back, getting yourself into that right place where now I feel like I'm at this point where I'm starting over. Like, I'm not at the heavy weights where I was before. I'm gonna have to build back up to that point.
Yeah. Right on.
So that's like the bummer conversation. Let's do a happier conversation. What were some of your victories? Or you already pointed out yours, like a big victory.
Mine was my first pull-up. That literally took me a year to get, I think maybe over a year, but I finally got my first pull-up and I was so excited. But we talk about like being consistent, and like that also showed me that I had to be consistent, be here even when I don't want to be, or even when it's just doing small, workouts, but it's worth it.
And something like that is like, it's one of those things like, or like the deadlift, it's like you try and you try and you try and you try and you feel like nothing is happening. And then that one day it happens. And you're like, oh my God, that was so worth it.
Yes.
Because you don't see the little improvements over time.
Yeah.
And so like, it's that feeling of accomplishment it's so sweet.
I think like when people are like, oh, you got your pull up, but they don't see how long I've been in here, how many days, how many times I've struggled. So I'm like, yes, like that made it more sweet. But then like overcoming the depression, like there's so many wins that I have. Like it's hard to just name one.
Yeah. You don't. I think it lends itself to like the broader conversation of social media. It's like this highlight reel, right? Like you want to show off that, right? Like I got my first pull-up. Nobody saw how many times you came into the gym and tried and had to cuss.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. It's like you try and you're like, right?
Yeah. Or how much my neck grew.
I can't.
Like a giraffe.
It's like, it's that day-to-day consistency that like, okay, like if I just keep coming, like it's going to be another micro inch and another micro inch and another micro inch, and then all of a sudden like, oh my God, I got it, So yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Alli?
I'll call you out.
One of my wins was in the beginning doing box jumps, because obviously they're super intimidating. Everyone's afraid of them. And I was super proud. I don't remember what it was, but it was box jumps, rowing, I think, and then wall balls.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
And something else. And it was like where you did like 3 sets, whatever. And Sarah was still here, and she was like, no, girl, just like look forward. Don't look down. Don't think about it. And when I did that workout, I was like, oh my God. Like, it was so amazing. I was like, I didn't die, didn't cry, didn't puke.
Yeah.
Got it done. Overhead squats, when I lifted my heaviest, that was definitely a win.
Yeah.
Coming when I knew that Alex was going to make me go onto the bike, and he was going to make me do more than Marco would. Those were always wins.
I taught him well. I know I'm not the meanest.
Yeah. I'd be like, but Marco only made me do this, and you let Alli do the rower. He's like, don't care, I'm all cool. So those were always wins, that I still came, even though Marco's like, don't read the workouts. And I still did.
Yeah.
Every time. But, yeah.
What was a big win for you?
Can I share two?
Yes, please.
I think my win in the gym was deadlift day. I came in with a goal to lift 250, and you just kept putting weights on the bar, and I had no idea where we were. And when I maxed out, I remember thinking, God, please let me hit 250, and you were like, oh, 280. That was a huge win.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I'm like, shh,
Don't math.
Yeah, I would have stopped a long time ago, I think.
Yeah.
If I knew. And then another huge win for me was just mentally, like not avoiding mirrors or like looking at myself and thinking, oh, that's gross. So that's a big win.
That's monster right there.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that is starting to become a bigger conversation in the fitness world, is body dysmorphia, right? It's like no matter how much work you do, like you look in the mirror and you have that like you walk by a mirror and you're like, ugh, right? You just have that, like, we all make that sound, right? And so as long as I've been doing this, like it never really goes away. Like there's always going to be that little like voice in your head that will do that, but the voice that goes, good work, gets a little louder, and it does. That's a huge moment. The first time that voice is loud enough for you to be like, oh, all right.
That's usually someone's response. They'll be like, oh, I looked in the mirror and was like, ooh, look look at that. That's always a
I remember the first time we have a mirror right by the door when you walk out the garage, and like I always try to look away when I walk by, and I remember the first time like I caught a glimpse of myself and I stopped and I was like, whoa, that's me.
Boy.
I would say the 400 was a win, doing 75 hard was a win. I would say right in the middle of summer, we were, it wasn't even in the gym. There was a win for me. It was outside the gym. I've always felt uncomfortable, having my shirt off when I'm at a swimming pool or some place like that. And, we decided, hey, let's go to Water World for the day, just have some fun and whatnot. And I was like, all right, yeah, sure, And so we get there, and I'm still wearing a t-shirt and whatnot, but it was like, it's Denver, it's hot. And so I'm like, screw it, I'm done with the shirt, I'm gonna take the shirt off. And it was like that whole day while I had the shirt off, I was just like, I actually feel really good about having my shirt on. Like, I'm kind of, I don't want to judge anybody around here while I'm looking at other people of Denver. You know who you are, but I'm sitting there going, I feel amazing, actually. Like, I feel like I can walk around and blow a whistle like a lifeguard.
so good that during the open he had his own coconut bra.
Yeah. I brought a hood skirt and I had shorts underneath, so it's super appropriate.
Keep it PG. We've spent the last basically year, we're coming up on a year here, learning, growing, battling, winning, learning how to deal with those losses, learning how to use the wins as fuel. For you guys, how will you use what you've learned over the last year to keep pushing you forward?
So for me, it's just, I built a lot of confidence in myself, because before I was like, I'm still like that just a little bit, but I've grown a lot in who I am. And so taking forward, I've learned so many great habits, so many, and I've been coached through a lot of things where I felt like I couldn't do it, but just having more confidence in myself and what I'm doing, and that's like the biggest takeaway from all of this.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like you said, the roadblocks, I learned a lot of perseverance at this gym, because before, any little setback, I'd be like, nope, done, bye.
Yeah.
And you guys and my gym mates, were like, no, we're not having that. Sorry. And it goes through work, I've struggled at work with things and at home, and it's okay, take a step back, take a breath, it's fine. Learn how to navigate through roadblocks and other struggles. It's not the end of the world. Because I'm a brat, and that's how my brain works. But I tried. So that's great.
Yeah.
I think I'm still trying to get back on track from everything with my ankle. But in the past, if I took a break or stopped coming for a while and then went back to the gym, there was always somebody or people, why haven't you been here, and kind of giving you a hard time, and I don't get that here. So that's always encouraging to know that if I need to take a break, I'll be welcomed back with open arms. And then also just knowing how much better I feel being here and coming consistently.
Yeah, I would say probably just taking away from what I learned through the 75 Hard program, and then also just applying that. Because, a lot of us, we can get into these areas of, you can do 80 days of, hardcore dieting, or you could do 30 days and lose whatever weight, within this time period. But to go from there and to just go to a dead stop is it's gut-wrenching at that point, because it's okay, yeah, I've lost 20, 30 pounds or whatever, but now I'm gaining it back incrementally because I haven't applied anything from what I learned from that diet into the rest of my life. And so I felt like throughout this year, even after 75 Hard, it was I was taking what I learned from there and really applying it into my life as well. Creating these baby steps instead of just cold turkey stop in my life. And so, yeah.
I like that, baby steps. It doesn't have to be giant leaps. It can just be little tiny things micro inch by micro inch. Like I'm just gonna make an improvement today, and that's it. So, I lost my list of questions. There it is.
Well, I have one that you can. So, looking at yourself a year ago and looking at yourself now, what do you think the biggest difference has been? What transformation have you made this last year? It could be mental, it could be physical, whatever.
I would say after going through the 75 hard and learning how to kind of manage food and intake through that, through that program, I ended up losing, what was it? I started at 270, I landed at right about 235. And so my weight just kind of plateaued, kind of stayed right there. And so even through there, like I didn't let the plateau manage the rest of my life. Like I didn't let it get to me. And I feel like a lot of us, we end up getting to that plateau and it's like, well, what's going to happen now? It's like I've been working out just as much as I did last week. I lost 5 pounds last week, but now I'm not losing anything this week. And I feel like from there on, it's taking those baby steps, micromanaging everything that you do and what you eat. And I felt like throughout this whole year after doing the 75 hard, it was instead of me just tanking and going, all right, well, I lost the 30 pounds, I'm good to go. I just kept on going. Even if I stayed at 230 or whatever, I just told myself I'm gonna keep on going. I'm gonna keep on working on doing different movements, or I'm gonna go out for a walk. Sometimes it was angry walks, as I call them, but I'm going to go out for a walk and just kind of, more than anything, have a mental break and stop beating myself up, for the losses.
Yeah.
So.
I think for myself, I say this all the time, and I tell people that CrossFit literally has changed my life. More specifically, Elm has changed my life. From last year to now, the way I've changed is like who I surround myself with, the things that I put inside my body. We talked about this in one of our goal sessions, is like with the excuses. Like I don't want to be that type of person who makes excuses. I want to do things and take action rather than, say this is why I didn't do it. Being more accountable, holding myself more accountable for what I want in my life and my goals, and being able to set goals and achieve them, It's like a big change.
Yeah.
I definitely feel mentally and physically different in a positive way from this gym. I have a better mentality. Like Alli said, like you hate, or like store windows, you're like, ugh.
See, there's the sound.
It is the sound. Just like having more grace with myself and learning to love myself as I go, and mentally being nicer to myself, and with the help of like the gym mates that are here, oh my god, like they're the best.
Yeah.
They're so great. Like they just make you feel like
Thank you.
it's true. It's true. They just make you feel so good about yourself.
I think that both of you just pointing that out, like not just how you speak to yourself, but who you surround yourself with becomes a massive thing. Because when you start a journey like this, like it becomes this, like I'm trying to get better, and these people that I've been around are not. And the better I get, the grosser that feels. And they're either going to come with me or they're going to stay. And that's fine if they stay. I'm just not. Yeah. Mark and I were actually talking about this just a couple of days ago, like between the two of us, like, okay, we've made this decision. We're going to go this way. And if they're not coming with us, that's fine. Like, I'm not mad. It's just, this is where I'm going. Yeah.
I think one thing, when I tell people like, oh, I go to CrossFit, they assume like it's that, just like what you were saying, that stereotypical gym, like global gym, and it's like, but it's,
oh my gosh,
yeah, but it's so the opposite here. And I think I always try to encourage people to come because if they knew how great of a community that you guys have made here, like it would change their perspective on things. Because I also don't know any other CrossFit gym, so I can't say, but I know that I love it here. I absolutely love it here to the point where I moved. I live in Stapleton. It takes me 30, even 45 minutes to get here some days, but I still will come here because I love it here. Not just the scholarship, I could have dropped out a long time ago, you know what I mean? But I love it here, this community.
Yeah. We do have some really stellar people here. So, how about you, Alli?
I think my biggest changes have been mentally and physically. Just self-confidence, and I'm trying a lot of things I wouldn't have tried in the past or would have talked myself out of.
Oh my gosh, I have to talk about this because Alli, you have like some condition where you like can't eat certain foods.
Yeah.
And so like we played with food a lot, and Brandon one day was like, "You should try fish." I should have looked up the text message we got from Alli the day after she tried fish. She's like, "Nope, never again." So tell us about what happens.
It's basically like a severe allergic reaction, but only in your esophagus, so it swells up. Like food gets stuck, can't swallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
So-
almost like an allergy? Like,
It's called eosinophilic esophagitis.
oh.
I can't even say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember that was like the best day when she's like, "Nope, not doing fish."
Like 7 pukey emojis. No.
Yeah, I tried it though, which my husband's been trying to get me to try it again for 10 years, so it's kind of mad.
He's like,
Yeah.
oh, excellent. Okay, so kind of wrapping this up, guys. Last question is, and it's more of a conversation again, like a lot of these happen. So, as we get ready to open up the application process for this coming year, right? And I'll kind of give the quick details about that at the end of this part of the conversation. But for you guys, there's going to be people who see this interview and go, "I really relate to this person, and if they can do it, I can do it." Right? Like that's the whole point of this conversation, is to get those people to take a chance, just like you guys did, right? So if you could give a piece of advice to that person who's sitting there watching this on their phones right now, what would be your piece of advice for that person? Chad got a real big smile on his face.
You're first.
So light bulb, that's it. I would say, it's really hard for us to go through life alone. And when you come to a gym like this, and I mean, I can only speak for this gym because it's, once again, the only gym I've come to. Because I thought, all CrossFit gyms, just had a bunch of meatheads in it. That was it. So, but, as we go through life, we end up going into these valleys. It was so awesome this year to be able to go in these valleys with you and Marco. During our low times, and it was just a huge blessing on my family. Not just me, but also my wife and my kid as well. And being able to help us open up new doors, new horizons.
I'm so sorry.
But being able to open up new doors and new horizons to explore the world around us and really appreciate the outdoors more. And I would say that to anybody. If you're looking at going to a gym, don't look up YouTube videos of CrossFit games or anything like that and expect that in the gym. Because a lot of gyms, you might not have that, which is great because, it's for average people to come to a place and not get intimidated by some gorilla guy screaming in the background. That's what this place is not about. It's about coming here, working on yourself, and then having some people to stand next to you, along with you during that journey.
Yeah. So before we jump into the conversation with the ladies, I really just want to address this from the perspective of men, specifically as a husband, as a dad. Like, this hits at a place where, like, it's a personal, like, mission for me. Like, at least it's becoming that, is like reaching out to men and getting them to kind of own this conversation of, like, we get drilled into ourselves as men that we have to do it alone, and if you can't do it alone, you are a failure. And what I want people to hear from your perspective was, like, dude, don't do this alone, because you don't have to. You don't. You can link arms with some other people, and it's cool if it's other men, because other men are going to understand that perspective more, right? But it can be just surrounding yourself with other human beings who are willing to cheer you on those hard days, you know, and willing to hold your feet to the fire when you're, you know, like, feeling like when you're beating yourself up. Sometimes you need somebody like Marka who will, like, look you dead in the face and go, you don't get to talk to yourself like that. Stop it. Right? And so, like, surrounding yourself with other people that are willing to do that with you, right? And for us as men, it's a harder conversation to have because we don't want to. And so your willingness to do that, knowing that the outcome is I'm going to be a better man at the end of this to lead my family, is a big deal. So for me, for the guys listening to this conversation, that was a huge lesson, I think, for both of us. Like, as we walk through this, like, okay, this is affecting more than just, like, the standard, like, okay, we're going to lose some weight and do 75 hard, that would be cool, and, like, we'll lift some weights, and because that's what bros do, is we lift some weights, right? Like, it turned into this thing, like, we started noticing, like, wow, I'm able to go and do this with my family because I'm better and stronger from that perspective now, right? And so, like, it's not different from what the women experience, but it is because it comes from a different perspective and a different mindset. So I want to be specific about that for the men that are listening. It's like, guys, if you're thinking about it, like, this will impact other things in ways that you don't expect it to. So,
and I mean, I would say just stop thinking about it and just, you know, apply for a scholarship, just come to the gym.
Yeah.
Just see what it's about. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm sure there's other gyms out there that, you know, do the same thing and give you an opportunity to see what it's about.
But be willing to take that chance and, like, link arms with some people who can help you. Absolutely. Sorry, I had to grow for a second. I had to do it.
Sorry to set the bar.
First of all, we're not paid actors. This is not a scam. It's real. Do it. But also, I came into this terrified that, like, everybody's going to be annoyed because they're waiting on me and I take too long to do anything. And I've never felt that way. You're never alone. I mean, even when we did the Manitou incline, I was the last one and Tim came back and finished it with me. Everybody's super supportive, and you're never, you know, trying to finish it on your own while everybody else is doing their own thing. So, which is really helpful.
That, each of our coaches is good at certain things, and Tim is he's so good at being the guy to go back and like when you feel like, oh my God, I can't do another rep. Like, he's so good at that, of, like, coming back down the steps and going, hey, come on, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's it. Like, it just goes back to that conversation. Like, you're going to surround yourself with people who are going to come back for you. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah.
I would have to say, take the first step. Like, you're not going to go anywhere unless you take the first step, and don't give up. This gym is incredible. Like they said, come try it out. This community is not like anything else, and this was not the first CrossFit gym that I belonged to. The other one we're not going to speak of. Yeah, But I mean, and just believe that you're worth it. You're worth like giving yourself this. It's like a gift you're giving to yourself. So apply for it. It's really great.
Mine was, so when I ask my friends or people to come check it out, and they assume that they have to be fit already to come in, I walked in and I remember the first workout I did, it was the hardest thing, and I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe. I coughed in my car all the way home. Like it ran long, you know, for like the next hour, but I came back and I wasn't fit, and I'm still probably not the fittest that I will ever be, but I'm more fit today than I was when I started. But it starts somewhere. Like you have to start somewhere. You don't have to walk into this gym and, you know, be able to run 5 miles and, you know, do the Murph.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Like everything can be modified. All the coaches are so helpful, and everybody here at this gym is so welcoming. There's just, I wish that people would at least come try it before they just put up the, no, it's it's Globo Gym, it's, you know, it's too hard. It's not too hard. It's not.
Yeah.
You just start, just like Amanda said.
It is, and it's the most thing is being out of shape and like worrying about modifications, like, oh, I have a bad knee or I have this. Like, there are ways to work around every issue and still move your body.
Yeah.
We have another member that the other day was like, I didn't want to come in because this was hurting, but I just knew if I came in, someone else would worry about what I could and couldn't do, not me. So.
Yeah. All right. So, before I officially announce the opening date of the scholarship, is there anything else you guys would like to add to that conversation?
Not just thank you guys. Like, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I won't cry. I like practice. Like every time I'd come in, I'd be like, ah. But today I'm like, I'm staying strong. But thank you. It's more than just the scholarship itself, the membership. It was the coaching. It was the encouragement. It was the therapy sessions. It was so much more than that. Like, you guys know. This scholarship, you know, you guys put a price on it, but to me it was really, really like priceless. Like, I had such a good time this year. I just cannot thank you guys enough.
Yeah.
I won't cry.
Yeah, I feel the same, and I want to thank like all of you guys and my gym mates for being so encouraging and just breaking me out of my shell. Because the first few workouts, I'm like, nobody look at me, don't talk to me, don't acknowledge me, let me die in peace. And then you look around and we're like, okay, we're all dying, it's fine. And at the end of the workout, we're all dying and laughing about something.
Yeah.
And it's just, you leave the gym just feeling like, I'm not gonna cuss, but like, F yeah. You're leaving like the Breakfast Club. That's what it reminds me of.
That is the first time I've ever heard that. That is awesome. The Breakfast
It's true.
Club.
That's what, when he's
Oh, no, I know. Do you ever
Every
meet,
time.
like, young 30s and 20-year-olds and you go, what's that?
What's
I know.
the Breakfast Club?
Just know.
Just go watch it.
Right on. Well, and on that same vein, thank you to you guys for sticking this out through all of that, right? And thank you for your effort. Thank you for trusting us and our coaches with a pretty major piece of your life. And so it's a big deal for us. So for you guys out there that are thinking, hey, I want to give this a shot, 2 things. We will open the process. We'll open the applications on December 19th, which will be a week from today. We're shooting this on a Sunday, so a week from today. And it'll go out on our social media channels. These guys will share it to their friends. And the cool part about that is the next class that gets selected, you get to come and do your first few workouts with this crew of humans. Woo! So they get to you'll get to ask them questions and go through a workout with them, and it'll be awesome.
Well, maybe not Amanda somewhere. She might be here, but
She'll be a
she'll be able to work out.
One
Yeah.
at
at the end
It'll
of the
be
month?
like mid-January. Yeah, mid-end of January.
Yeah, I'll still be there. She'll just cheer you up.
So, yeah. But other than that, guys, again, thank you so much for being willing to do this with us. Thank you for giving us your time today to tell this story and encourage some other people to get off the couch and give themselves a chance. It's a big deal. So, all right. See you guys.
Yay.